Hey, I've had the question several times come up. I work remotely, so is this possible to do with a remote work from home situation? My answer to that is yes, of course. I've worked from home for many years in my career, and I designed this whole program to function at its best when you're remote. So, of course, certain things might be easier to think of. It might be easier to kind of pass in the hallway, so to speak, or meet up at the water cooler when you're in an office workplace environment. However, there are many ways that I've thought of over the years to create those moments, even when we're in a virtual environment. So here are some of them. Um, Always a great idea to stay connected with people via the IM platform that your company uses. So if you use Slack or Microsoft Teams or whatever it is to quickly message each other, like great, use that. That's a great resource. Another one is email, although emails are like super slow and traditionally uh, and some people don't answer their emails. Yeah, also, if you have a long email, sometimes it can be too heavy and people don't want to deal with it or they don't know how to connect with it. So, last resort for sure, email. Um, However, one way to open the door with this whole conversation is say, hey, is this a bad time for a quick call? You might even check their status within the tool, or if you have a shared calendar, go into that shared calendar and see if they have a meeting right then. If they're not in a meeting and you know they're not on, a crazy shift or whatever, then that can be a good way to just reach out. If you don't have an IMing platform, an instant messaging platform, then texting is another way. So I know a lot of working environments I've been around and consulted in, they just text in order to communicate with each other. So of course that's a great way. Once you ask a question like, "Hey, is this a bad time for a quick call?" Then so let me just show you why I asked that question. If you say, "Hey, do you have a second?" Then they may have a few seconds, but like some people are weird about that question if you take longer than a second, or, "Hey, do you have a minute?" Then if you go over a minute, if you go for 2 minutes, for example, then some people will be like, "Oh, they asked for a minute." Like, I know that sounds ridiculous, and some people will get, kind of tied up about that. So you don't want to give them a reason to get tied up. This opens the door for them to have a conversation with you. It also gives them an easy out. They can easily say, "Yes, it is a bad time." Typically, though, they'll say, "How about in 5 minutes?" or "How about in an hour?" "How about tomorrow?" Afternoon. So I've asked that question many, many, many times, and it usually starts off a really good conversation. So if they say yes, it's a bad time, do it later. If they say no, 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 it's not a bad time, like what's up? Then just go ahead and call them, and then you can ask like, hey, is this a bad time? I just wanted to make sure that this, it was that you had time or whatever. And so then they have a second opportunity. They're like, wow, this person really respects me, right? You're showing respect by doing this. It's not just a game, but it's truly a way to show respect. Um, Another way to do it is that you have a meeting, or you have a let's go with the team meeting. So you have a team meeting, and then at the very end, people are checking out, and you might IM them or text them and say, "Hey, can you stay on for just a minute?" Or if it's just a small, you say, "Hey, can you stay on for just a minute to that we can talk about something really quick." So that's one way to piggyback on another meeting that's existing. If you have a meeting with this person, it's just a one-on-one. Another way is to say, hey, I have an unrelated question I'd love to ask you at the end of this meeting if there's time. And then a lot of times they're super curious. So either they'll want you to ask in the beginning of the meeting, but it's fair enough to put it at the end. So then they may try even harder to be within time, so that doesn't always work. However, it can be a good way to kind of slip it in there very casually. Like, oh yeah, I just wanted to, you know, apologize, and I know that I haven't been the greatest in our relationship, and I wanted to, work on this, and I actually signed up with this program to work on a relationship with a coworker, and I wanted to do it with you. So I can do it with someone else if it doesn't work, but you don't have to do really anything. You just need to be honest about, how you feel about, our experiences together and our relationship. Like, and if you can do that, like, you don't have to do anything like any tasks or anything like that. It's just me working on the relationship because I want to be a better friend, a better coworker. I want to be a better colleague. I want to be a better professional. So, um, so that those are some ways um, that I've used this in the past, that I've seen other people use it. One last way is that after you have this initial meeting conversation, then you can say, hey, would it be okay, or maybe the next time you chat, hey, would it be okay if we got together for 10 minutes or 15 minutes a week, just once to talk about where things are at, your expectations, and how I can better perform my role to help to be more valuable to you in your role. So they'll set up a weekly one-on-one just to check in for a few minutes, really short, make it really compact, make sure you're respecting their time and talk about the fact that you want to respect their time and you don't want to take too much of their time. Like, because you don't, right? You really don't. And you don't want to waste your time. And so making these things very short will help to accelerate your progress in the relationship. I hope you find this helpful. Ways to connect in a remote workplace, and I know you'll do well with it. Thanks.